To be the living church, you might have passed the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. All right, so we've got a lot of people here who can fake their love for Jesus. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. It's good to finally put a face to the name. Oga, I saw your picture on the WhatsApp. It's not the same. And again, thank you for being here. I see a lot of familiar faces, or faces that have become familiar throughout the week. Thank you for coming back again. So I've learned to notice when some of you are not here. Yes, I see when you're not here. So thank you for being here. And can I just see the hands of those who've been with us? Now, I'm not talking about SDASM people, all right? It's your responsibility to be here. But I'm just talking about people who are not members of SDASM who have been with us since Sunday. Can I just see the hands of those who have been with us since Sunday? Non-members of SDASM? Raise your hands. You've been with us since Sunday? All right, if you were here on Sunday. Can I see your hands? Okay, all right, and those? So you were here since Sunday, but you missed a couple of days in between. Okay, can I see those hands? I just don't know how to say it in English. Can I see it? Okay. Why are you scared to raise your hands? We're not going to eat you, I assure you, you've got my protection. All right, those who were with us since Monday. All right? Amen. Also, you missed Sunday. And those who've been with us since Tuesday. Those who've been with us. All right. Powerful. And then Wednesday. Very good, guys. Thank you. So those are the guys that started coming when TV got boring. Alright, and then Thursday, those are with us from Thursday. Amen. And can I see the hands of those who are here for the first time tonight? Just joining us for the first time.
Amen.
Thank you for being with us. And so I know that the last night I said that we'll talk about I'm no longer on the big screen. But as I know I said today, we'll talk about excellence, what we owe God. Okay, as it's an imperative. It's something that but I think we should talk about that tomorrow. Tonight I want us to talk about something that I think sort of summarizes everything we've been talking about throughout the week. So a story that, or a parable that I think captures everything that we'll be talking about throughout the week, so that we can just close the week nicely, before we get into the new week with a different theme. Although we are building on what we have been doing this week. So tonight, just to check. Last night we spoke about faith. I know I promised you another 15 minutes before I got into the new message, but I don't think I'll take that long. I'll take 15 minutes. I was having a chat with someone this afternoon, and they reminded me about what James talks about when he said, faith without works is dead. Faith with no works is dead. Now, what does James mean? Does he mean that you must work for your faith? All right. Does he mean that when you have faith, you must have good works so that God can reward your faith? No, James is saying that your faith must be reflected in your lifestyle. So, in other words, your faith must produce something good in you. We must see that you have faith, not that you must convince us by praying loud whenever we are praying, so that that one has faith. Then we think but your faith must be reflected in your lifestyle. Your choices must reflect that you are a child of faith. There are things that you don't do even if you want to do them, but you no longer do them because you're now so that faith must be alive in you. Your faith cannot allow you to walk past someone who is destitute, and you walk past them and nothing in you moves. Like when you're able to rest and you've just left someone whom you can see has no food, but you can just walk past them and it's okay for you to just walk past them. And you go and eat your food and even throw away food, but you've left someone who was hungry behind and nothing. You know what we do sometimes? We'll walk past someone who's begging, right? And they'll make us feel uncomfortable, and that's why we don't like them, because they make us uncomfortable. They remind us of our responsibility, all right, to them. But so that we can absolve ourselves of that responsibility, we then create the circumstances, the reasons behind their behind their circumstances. Why did they go to school? And in fact, these people run away from home. Nobody chases them away from home. They run away from home. You see, when you see a poor person, it's not up to you to determine what made them poor. Their presence in your life at that very moment is your concern, that they are there, they're hungry. Whether they ate the money, they smoked the money for food or whatever is not your concern. Your concern is they're hungry and they're in front of you. Faith says you must address the need in front of you, not the cause of the need. It doesn't say evaluate why they're there. Faith says you address that, what is in front of you. And in fact, I'd even go as far as to say, if your heart doesn't allow you to intervene, don't do it. But be comfortable with the fact that your heart cannot feel for people who are destitute. I'm not blackmailing you, am I? Just a little bit, né? Yeah. So if you're because taking care of the poor, the destitute. I'm not just talking. I'm talking about something else. But taking care of the poor and the destitute is not something that you do out of a surplus. It's something that you do because there's a need in front of you. So I don't take care of your need because I've got means to take care of it. I take care of your need because you're in need. Even if I don't have anything with me, I find a way of alleviating at least some way. I find a way of making your situation better than what it is. So after you've come into contact with me, your situation cannot be as dire as it was before we came into contact. So if you're cold and I don't have anything to give you, the thing is I'm warm at this point in time, so I must give you what I'm wearing. Alright. Because by faith I believe that my needs are going to be met by God. This is one thing I've never understood by Christians, about us as Christians, is that we believe that God takes care of all our needs, but we spend half of our prayers asking God to take care of the needs that His promise is going to take care of. And then we walk around protecting what God has given us, even though God has taken care of it. So, even to the point of abandoning God in order to protect what God has given us. So, faith says it must produce good works. There must be some good that comes out of your faith. You can't be faithful. You can't be a person of faith or a woman of faith for your own benefit. It must benefit those around you. I was saying to someone, and I know they're here. I forgot to ask them for permission, but I was saying to them that when you take on a new faith, many of us belong to different churches from our parents, right? We come to university, we meet a new religious group, and we join that religious group. And at home, they're not part of that religion or that Christian group. So I was saying to them that if you're going to adopt, especially if you're going to adopt Adventism, don't think for a moment that when your parents say, it's Saturday here at home, it's Saturday, we are going to visit your aunt, and you say to them, it's the Sabbath of the Lord. Not a day to do my own things. It is the day that I've dedicated unto the Lord. Don't think that your parents see that as you standing up for your faith. They don't see that as you standing up for your faith. When they look at you, they look at a child. Yeah, a rebellious child. Hey, thank you for that word. It was gone. They don't see a child who's standing up for the right. They see a rebellious child. So find a way of making sure that your faith makes a better daughter or a better son out of you, not a good Christian to your parents. Your Christianity must not make you a good Christian. It must make you the best of what your relationship is to those people. So if it's your brother, your Christianity must make you a better brother than you were before. Right? So your faith cannot be an inconvenience. It cannot be a discomfort. And I know that we love this thing of saying, the truthfulness is uncomfortable. The truth is uncomfortable. It must cut. And so we find ways of hurting our loved ones, just so that we can find an opportunity to make sure to give the truth its sharpness. So when we become in, so faith must make you a better version of yourself to your loved ones. Okay. Anyways, let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 20. Matthew chapter 20. And it's the parable of the workers in the vineyard. All right. That's the parable of the workers in the vineyard. And as we're continuing with this theme of decommercializing Christianity, this whole notion of Christianity as a commercial enterprise, I think this sort of settles it for me. This parable sort of settles it for me. You know, and again we said, for those who are not here during the week, that this is what we're trying to do for the next couple of days. We're trying to get out of this notion that Christianity is a transaction. I give God my faith, I give Him my worship, I give Him my praise, and then He gives me blessings, more blessings. I give Him my worship, He gives me blessings. That's not biblical. That actually flies in the face of everything that is biblical. And this settles it, okay? It settles it quite nicely. And then Jesus says this parable. I'm going to read the whole parable, so please follow in your Bibles or your phones that are on your Bibles that are on your phone. It says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like." Now, again, this is the story talking about the kingdom of heaven. God cannot have us worship in a church that will teach us to behave differently from what would be expected of us when we enter the kingdom of God. Are we together? So entering a faith community must reflect what things are going to be like in the kingdom of God. Does that make sense? Yes. It took me a lot of English to put that together. Right. So we can't have, and I think this guy, I just forgot his name. It's Herman something. He was a Catholic priest. He said Jesus came promising us the kingdom of God, and all we got was the church instead. And what a disappointing substitute. So what he was saying is, what Jesus spoke about in the kingdom has not been reflected in the church. What we expect from the church is the very same thing that we're going to find in the kingdom. If the church cannot be the kingdom, then the church has ceased to be a community of faith. It has become a social club. So the church must become what we will see in the kingdom. Are we together? So whatever you will find in the kingdom must be found in the church, because being in the church is a rehearsal for the kingdom. All right. So then he says, so the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner. Okay, so what is the kingdom of heaven like? A landowner. What's the landowner like? All right, so what does the landowner do? This is what the kingdom of heaven does. Okay, the kingdom of heaven is active. It is in motion. It is not stagnant. It is not concerned about its own purity, while others are facing destruction outside of its influence. All right, so the kingdom of heaven does not sit on a hill and wait for people to approach it. The kingdom of heaven comes down and it enters society. All right. So in other words, the kingdom of heaven operates incarnationally. It does not operate by standing apart from people. It does not invite people to itself. It goes to where people are. And I'm glad you're quiet. It means you're listening. So he went out early in the morning. This is the landowner. He went out early in the morning to hire men to work in his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and send them into his vineyard. Okay, so he agrees. He goes out, sees these guys, they've got no work, and then he agrees to pay them a denarius, which is a day's wage, and they go and work in his vineyard. All right, and then about the third hour, he goes out and sees others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, you also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right. All right, do you see the change in dialogue? Do you see the change in discussions, in negotiations? I'll pay you whatever is right. So he went out again about the 6th hour and the 9th hour and did the same thing. About the 11th hour, he went out. This is now the 11th hour. It's not that they've been working for 11 hours. It's just the 1 hour before knock-off time. All right. And then he says he went out and found still others standing around. He asked them, why have you been standing here all day doing nothing? Because no one has hired us, they answered. He said to them, you also go and work in my vineyard. Now listen to these ones, the last ones. He doesn't promise them anything. Alright, so he says, you go and work, but they're not promised anything, and they go to the vineyard. Alright, they go and work in the vineyard. And then when evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, call the workers and pay them their wages. Now, listen to how he pays. Begin with the last ones hired and going on to the first. So pay the last ones first, and then pay the first ones last. Alright. So, you begin with the guys that came in on the 11th hour. The ones so knock-off time is 5 o'clock. Start with the ones that started working at 4 o'clock. Right. Now look what happens. So the foreman calls them. The workers were hired about the 11th hour came, and look at what they get. They were not told how much they were going to get. They received a denarius. All right, the same amount that was agreed upon with the workers that came in early in the morning. So they get a denarius. And so when those came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. Look at this. The guys who were hired first, upon seeing the guys who came last receiving a denarius, then in their minds, start changing the terms of reference and the agreement with their owner without consulting the landowner. All right. So they then say, oh, if these ones get a denarius, it means we are going to get more. But here's the thing. They knew exactly how much they were going to get at the end of the day. The only people who didn't know how much they were going to get are the guys who were hired on the 3rd hour, the 6th hour, the 9th hour, and the 11th hour. But the people who change how much they're going to get are those who were told exactly how much they were going to get. So then of course they go and complain to the landowner, and they say to him, but how do you pay us the same as these ones that came in last? And so you go to verse 11. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. These men who were hired last worked only 1 hour, they said, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the work and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them, friend, I'm not being unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the man who was hired last the same as I gave you. Alright, so my concern is not to rob you. My concern is to reward the one who came last, the same as you. So your problem here is not that I did not compensate you accordingly. You still got what you deserve. You still got what you agreed upon. Your real problem is that others got the same as you. So your biggest challenge is not with how much you got. Your challenge is with my generosity toward others. Right? And then it says, so don't have the right to do what I want with my money. It's my money. Don't have the right to do what I want with it. And then he says, well, you envious because I'm generous. So the last will be first, and the first will be last. That's how this parable ends. Okay, so let's go back. I'm sure you've seen these people on the streets, on the roads. I mean, you've got a lot of them in South Africa. They stand on the roads, in the streets, and they either are painters or they do manual labor. And a truck or a van will come and it says, I need 4 guys. And then they'll all come out, all right? I mean, I don't know what I was listening to recently. But I read it or listened to it. But this guy, oh yeah, I remember. This guy says, in one of the stops, the truck driver or the van driver would come, right, looking for workers. So he'll come and talk to one guy, and he said to him, okay, find me 6 guys. I need them to work for me. And then this guy who's been tasked with finding 6 guys will go and stand and says, okay, everyone? All right, come. And then everyone stands up. You know, these guys that are all there looking for work. They say, come. And then everyone comes. And then it says, you. And then you go, he's also one of the 6. But because he's been given the responsibility to look for 6, he now acts as if he's the one who giving the job. No, not you. You're too short. You're not going to handle this one. And then he'll put 5. He'll call 5, and then he'll be the 6th one. So it happens a lot in South Africa. This is what these guys used to do. But I want to give it a South African context. So they'll go out. Now when they leave home in the morning, they are saying, when I come back, I'll come back with some money. I'm hoping that I'll come back with some money to buy food. The only food they're going to eat is going to come from the money they're going to make out of this job. And they're praying that a van stops and a finger falls upon them. All right. So that's exactly what the Jews used to do. They'll go out to the marketplace. They'll wait there for someone looking for laborers. He'll come and say, I want 6, and then he'll take them. And he goes, but this guy, this landowner, this kingdom of heaven is not like your normal employer, your typical employer. When he gets to the marketplace, he does not calculate how many laborers he needs. When he gets to the marketplace and finds people looking for work, he employs all of them. He does not choose 6 or 7. He takes everyone who's there and he goes away. And once he's gone, so you get the sense that even those that are chosen are not necessarily chosen because they are needed. They are chosen because they need the work. How do I know this? Because after he has gotten all the laborers he should have taken in the morning, he goes out again at the 3rd hour, on the 3rd hour, and he finds yet more laborers on the 6th hour, on the 9th hour. Now, these guys who are hired in the morning don't have to face the rest of the day in the marketplace wondering if they're going to be hired. So, them being hired early means they are rescued from worrying about what they're going to eat earlier on. Getting a job early means that you don't spend the whole day worrying about what you're going to eat later on. So the employment or the appointment is salvation from worry. Right, so they go and they work. And by the way, when they're working for the landowner, once you enter the vineyard, you are now the responsibility of the landowner. You are no longer responsible for your own life. So when you need water, it's the landowner who provides the water. When you need food, it's the landowner who provides food. So lunchtime is provided by the landowner. Snacks are provided by the landowner. You work in his vineyard, you become his responsibility. So those who have work, don't just worry. Are not just saved from worrying about what their families are going to eat later on, but they're also saved from worrying about what they're going to have for lunch, because the landowner is going to provide it for them. Alright, so their whole day, from the moment they are appointed, is taken care of, and it becomes the responsibility of the landowner. Alright, so when they come to work, they are spared 12 hours of worrying about their lives. And then he comes for the ones 3rd hour, 6th hour, 9th hour, and then those that are hired on the 11th hour. These ones have spent the whole day in the market, and I don't know why they stayed the whole day up until the 11th hour. It's like an hour before knockout time. Now in Durban, we've got this theory, right? And guys use it and apply it to ladies, but you know, don't use that patriarchal nonsense on women. So they say, when you get to the market, you know, where they sell fruits and vegetables, and it's usually, well, historically, that's where like the Indian guys used to sell. That's where they were. They'll sell fruits and vegetables. Now they're very rich from that money. So you'll go to the market at 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning when it opens, and you get there, and he's got a bowl of tomatoes, of 12 tomatoes, and you ask him how much, and he'll say 18 rands for that bowl of tomatoes. It's 18 rands. You go, and then you come back at 12 midday. You ask him how much, and he'll say 16 rands. All right. Then you go. The market closes at 4. You go. You come back at 2. How much? He says 8 rands. The same bowl of tomatoes. There was 18 rands in the morning. At 2 p.m. is now 8 rands. Now the best time to buy is at 3:30. 30 minutes before the market closes. When you come back at 3:30 and you ask him how much, he no longer has a price. He just says, how much you got? and you give him that, and you give him whatever. So he said, I've only got 5 rands. He says, bring it. And then, so what you could have bought for 18 rand in the morning, all right, you are now buying for 5 rand later on. So you determine the price of you determine how much you want to buy it for, and so you can have 18 rands worth of tomatoes for cheaper just because you came late. Here's the thing though with this guy. So the early labor is supposed to be more expensive than the labor that comes in late. The cheapest labor are those that come in late. You're not obligated to pay them a day's wage because they don't work a day. But this guy does not pay 18 rands for tomatoes at 7 a.m. and you pay 18 rands for tomatoes at 4:30 in the evening. All right. What he's saying, or what the landowner is saying is, when I go and look for workers, right? So that's the first part. When I go and look for workers and I invite them into my vineyard, I'm not inviting them to contribute to my life. I mean, when you're invited into the vineyard, into the labor of the vineyard, you are not being invited to you're not being invited to a job. You are being saved from idleness. Right? So when you're working in the vineyard the whole day, while you're working, it is not labor, it is celebration that you're not idle. Yes. The reward of being in the vineyard is not the denarius at the end of the day. The reward is the joy and salvation from having to worry about your own life. Yes. Because now someone is taking responsibility for your life. Do you know why these guys are unhappy with the others getting a denarius? It is because while they spent the whole day in the presence of the landowner, they did not appreciate his presence.
Amen.
So life in the vineyard was not just about being saved from idleness. For them, the life in the vineyard was about anticipating the denarius. Worshipping God is not about attaining eternal life. Worshipping God is about the privilege of having God in your life right now. So it is not about what God is bringing. It is about who God is right now. You have not been saved so that you can get eternal life. You have been saved so that you can be saved. You're not saved in the future or prospectively. So God is not saving you from future death. He's saving you from what you will become without Him in His life or in your life. So what you're saved from is you, the monster that you are, without God in your life. So God doesn't just say, and I told you the story about, I told you the story about my taxi incident. So God doesn't just save you from eternal doom and death and destruction, others call it hell or whatever. So He doesn't just save you from that, but He also saves you from what you can do to yourself right now, currently, if God was not in your life, if you had not been invited to be a prospective candidate of heaven. Some of the things that we fail to do and some of the things that we refuse to do are not because we are good people. They're simply because we've been invited into the vineyard. You say, hey, I can't do that. Why? I don't want to miss out on heaven. And it saves you. I mean, the reasons can be superficial, but at least it saves you from yourself. You don't end up making some of the mistakes that you could have made. Right. And then he goes on and then he invites, so he invites these other guys. And then, now why does he start with the guys that came in last? Oh, let me start with this. The guys that came first know exactly what they're going to get at the end. The guys that come in last are not told how much they're going to get. All they get is, I'll pay you what is right. They go into the vineyard not knowing how much they're going to get. Do you know why they're going to the vineyard confidently? It is because for them, it is not about what the landowner is going to give them. For them, it is about being saved from being in the sun the whole day. At least now, we are going to have something that we are going to take home with us later on. And when they enter late, they don't enter with the spirit of entitlement. They get in there with the spirit of appreciation. Whatever comes from the hand of the landowner is good enough because the landowner has been gracious enough to invite us into his vineyard. Now, they are not employed. They don't see themselves as being employed. They see themselves as being invited into the vineyard. So when they walk into the vineyard, they don't walk in there as abantu abazokwenza ama-ada. They walk in there as people who have been privileged and they've been given the honor of we've been employed, we've been saved from idleness, we now have hope. In fact, I'd like to believe that even if the landowner had not given them anything at the end of the day, just the hope that they might get something at the end of the day was enough to see them through the day. Now, at the end of the day, then the landowner says, okay, call them all, let me just give them their money. So the ones that came in the morning until the evening. So you ask, why does it start with the ones that came in last and not the ones that came first? You see, the landowner is balancing the scales. What do you call equity? All right. What he's doing is, those that came in the morning have already received their reward throughout the day. Their reward is they were in the vineyard saved from idleness. They've spent the majority of their lives saved from themselves in the presence of the landowner or in the vineyard. These ones came in last. They've already spent enough time worrying about what they're going to eat at the end of the day. So the landowner rewards them or gives them first their reward or pays them first in order to save them from further worry. Do you know what he's doing? He's taking responsibility for them being hired first, for them being hired late. it's almost as if the landowner is saying, I'm sorry I did not get to you sooner. So he rewards them for the time they spent outside of the vineyard by paying them first and paying them more than they deserve. Why? Because the landowner is compensating them for not having gotten to them first. It's almost as if it was his fault that he did not find them first. So he pays them. Now, let me make this illustration. God rewards us for not having chosen him earlier. When you don't accept God, God as your Lord and personal Savior, earlier on, and you do it later on in life, after you have made mistakes that have proven detrimental to your life, God pays you back for the mistakes you made because you are ignorant of him. You're not hearing me. Amen. We're having a couples retreat. We're having a couples retreat. So we are talking, we are talking about, communication, prioritize your spouse, the needs of your wife first, and then the needs of your husband, his needs, her needs. And we're talking, and couples are just saying, Funesi, thank you so much. Because there was this problem, the ladies now think that it's an opportunity to tell on the husband. They say, Funesi, because, and they're not really, when a person just, they're all about themselves, they never prioritize you and whatever. And so we're talking and we're trying to deal with these things that are coming up, and the men are standing, but what do you do, Here's this woman. And she just won't stop going through your phone, And so we talk, and we answer the questions by trying to emphasize the principal issues, And then this man, quiet the whole weekend, silent with his wife, silent the whole weekend. They come early to the programs, they leave early. They leave as soon as the program is done, they go back to their room, they come back, they are there on time, listening, writing down, just listening. So on the Sunday before we leave, we've got a session where, people just give feedback. They ask, so can we just give feedback? Can we just talk? And then the people start talking, this was highlighted, I'm so grateful. People talk, and sometimes they don't want to talk badly about their relationship, but they've just been exposing their partners the previous day. Because we've got everything else figured out. It's just this one. This guy, towards the end, he raises his hand. Oh, black guy. Oh. And before he talks, he takes off his glasses. I don't know where you think this is going. So he takes off his glasses, right? And he pauses for a moment. He pauses. You can see that he's trying to collect himself. In his silence, you can just see the turmoil within him. And he says, I don't know why I got to hear this so late in life. And he pauses, recollects himself, and he says, if I'd known what I've learned this whole weekend, and you can feel his voice vibrating, and tell that it's, this guy, you don't understand, I was scared of this guy. He was just quiet the whole weekend. And he says, because if I had known what I just learned in this weekend, if I had known it 30 years ago, my children would not consider me their worst enemy. And he stood there, and this guy is actually essentially saying, why did God take so long to get to me? God has left me to hang out in the marketplace where I was so destructive that I've even alienated my own children. And he says, I hear all of you talking about your problems, but what you guys consider problems, and we hope, we dream, we desire to have such problems in our family. Because the problems that we have are such that if my children were to see me right now, I'm sure they would kill me because of what I did in their lives. Now, those people, I didn't have an answer for him. I wish I'd read Matthew 20 before that weekend. Because what I would have told him is just hang on a little longer. The end of the day is coming, where the vine owner is going to call everyone in the vineyard. And those that he's going to start with are people like you. Those who got to understand that there is a kingdom of God, there is a landowner who does not want us to work for him. He doesn't want us to work for him. He's not employing us. He's not in the business of employing us. He's not in the business of asking us to contribute to who he is. He's in the business of saving us from ourselves. Now, because he failed to get to you early on, he's going to take responsibility for his failure. I know there's some kids, some children who have, young girls, they fall pregnant, commit abortions, and now they're living with that guilt. And I've spoken to tons and tons of them, and they'll say, "Please, I somehow think that the burden of keeping the baby would have been much better than the guilt that I'm carrying around right now. And I can't sleep. I can never get away from it. I keep a record of how old my child will be right now. And every day, every time, every year that it's supposed to be their birthday, I stop and I can't help but cry." So this person cries twice in a year: the day of the abortion and the day that would have been their child's birthday. And I'd like to say, a self-righteous part of me would like to say, you are suffering justly for what you did. But I can't find that in the scriptures. What I find is a landowner who is taking responsibility for that child's actions, to say to her, the reason why you aborted your child is because I had not gotten to you first. But I'm going to compensate you for the damage you did in your life, simply because I couldn't get to you before you could do it to yourself. I'd love to preach a God of fire and brimstone. I'd love to preach a God who is concerned about the purity of the workers in his yard. But somehow I discover a God who goes out late looking for vagrants, people who are loitering about town, and he does not concern himself about why. He doesn't say you should suffer the consequences of your loitering. He says, but why have you stood here for so long? Why have you stood here for so long? Why couldn't you find me? Why couldn't you be positioned in a place where I could find you? And they said, nobody has hired us. And he says, go and work. Go and work. It's not about your output. It's about being saved from the marketplace. It's dangerous outside of the vineyard. Yes. The reason, he goes, look, the landowner is quite safe where he is. Yeah. He's got land. Right. He's okay. He's got no problems. He's got no worries. He's got land. He's got a vineyard. He's got a foreman. He doesn't need to be going out. But somehow, the kingdom of God is managed. It is owned by a God who is not content keeping to himself. Do you know why God created us? And this is the book Patriarchs and Prophets. You also find it in Desire of Ages. You also find this one in Testimonies. I think it's volume 3, where the Book of Inspiration records that when God decided to create humanity, it was not so that he could create a church of worshippers for himself. It was simply because God grew dissatisfied with sharing himself with himself. So he created people that he could share himself with. You are not here to contribute to who God is. You are here so that God can extend and pour himself out unto you. So, at the beginning, his intention was to give himself. He can't not give. He can't exist in isolation. He can't exist without avenues of giving. And then Pastor Papa will say, that God is so confident that he doesn't have a problem creating spaces. And when those spaces are contested, he doesn't have a problem evacuating them and creating more spaces, so that he can pour himself out in those spaces. When he's no longer appreciated in your life, he's got no problem evacuating and creates more space in someone else's life. And when you no longer appreciate him, he's got no problem evacuating. He's never out of avenues to pour himself out into. Are you hearing me? And so when God creates, he doesn't create because, now, we need worshipers. I'm tired of the singing of the angels. I want people who will sing Turner. And different voices. He's creating because he needs more people. So when the landowner goes out, he's not looking for more workers. He's not looking for people so that people can think he's the richest amongst them, in the land. He's looking for people to save from idleness. He's not content. You know why churches evangelize or why churches should evangelize? It's not so that we can colonize people, create little puppets of or images of ourselves, or duplicates of ourselves. So when we evangelize, we're not trying to create. When I evangelize, I'm not creating mini blossers. I'm not creating more people who will be like me. So when I evangelize, I'm like I said to you the other day, it's about me as a beggar telling you where the bread is found. Yes. And so I'd say, no, the bread is found that side, so that you don't. Why must you starve when there's bread for free? So let's go and eat the bread together. But when we eat the bread, I'm not expecting you to chew like me. And I don't expect you to dress like me. I don't expect you to have table manners, similar table manners as mine. Because evangelism is not colonizing. I'm not a colonialist. I'm not trying to change who you are so that you can become like me. And that is why, as you must be wary when you can no longer appreciate what people are apart from who you are. When you can't tell, when you can't describe who people are without comparing them to you. So when I talk about other people, I no longer talk about humans, I talk about non-Adventists. Because I am Adventist, so everyone else must be what I am not, because being is what I am. And so then you know that you're on the verge of colonizing people, you're not evangelizing. But we don't do that, right? So we talk about people. Do you know why we can't talk about them in terms of what they are not? So that we can adequately assess their needs for God. We don't present to them a God of our needs. We present a God who is relevant to their needs as well. So when we go out, sent by the landowner to look for more workers in the vineyard, we're not looking for people who are going to hold a spade like us. We're looking for people who are going to be saved from themselves. It's dangerous. The way you are living is dangerous. Where you are is dangerous. Come in so that you'll be saved from yourself. And that's why we come to church and we get crazy about God. It's not because we've got a God who's got a bastion of blessings waiting for us. And He hears us every time we pray. We come to church simply because the moments we're in church, we could be doing something that might be dangerous and detrimental to us. And so He says, pay the last ones first, because they've suffered enough from ignorance. Let's save them. Let's reward them for our fault in getting lost, in getting to them so late. Let's compensate them for that. Let's give them what we failed to do. So He gives them a denarius. In this vineyard, you know who's grateful for the denarius? You know who's grateful for the denarius? Those who didn't feel entitled to it. The denarius was a bonus. For them, the reward was an opportunity to be in the vineyard. They'd already been rewarded enough by just being invited into the vineyard. When they get the denarius, it was just the reward. It was what is it? A bonus. Oh, a denarius on top of it as well. Think how generous you are. Stop this. And this is what's dangerous about this commercialized version of Christianity. This entitlement and crass materialism that it comes with, that makes us feel entitled to what God is doing or what we feel God should do for us. Because I gave my tithe, and we don't even return the tithe. Because I gave God my tithe, I must get something in return. We even hold pastors, we hold people we hold them ransom and say, Fundis, I gave my tithe. They're eating my money. That's how I know, by the way. That's how I know a person is not returning tithe. When they say a statement like that, then I know this one is not returning tithe. A person who returns tithe knows that it's not for the upkeep of the pastor. It's their spiritual obligation to God. So when someone says, I paid my tithe, I know you're not returning tithe. You're not. So why? Because we've got this materialism, this consumerism that we come with. We purchase God's favors, and hoping that God will reward us for having purchased what belongs to Him. And so, when God brings in people that we thought are not deserving to be in God's presence, then we get to a point where we get concerned about maintaining the status and the purity of the workers in the vineyard. It's not our vineyard, eh? We've also been invited here. I want to say, if you want a clean depiction of the arrogance of Christians, you're not going to see it in church. If you want an illustration, go to a black funeral or black function. All right. Nothing transformed like a black woman behind a table where food is served. They just, at a black function, all they do is they say, see, sister, it's night, now it's on. You are also invited to this thing, right? But then, because there are a lot of people to serve, then they ask you, hey, please help us. And you take the boat. Yo, watch a black person transform. So you come in, and as the pastor, and it's happened so many times, you preach at a funeral, you come in, and people say, no, pastor, we have arranged the place. No, I wanna eat here. I wanna eat here with the people. And then you go, and as you're dishing, you pass this, and she was not at the funeral. She was not at church, and she didn't see you preach. Right? So you pass there, and then you say, can I not have beetroot? Are you full? No, I don't want it. And then she stands there with, she don't want to ask you if you want this. Then the next one, and then I said, obviously, hey, because I haven't taken this other one, can I just have a bit extra of this one? You know, just a bit more. And you feel like, oh my word, you know, like you almost want to ask them, so how much did you contribute? I can just compensate you. I can see they made you contribute and you didn't want. But how much did you contribute to the purchase of this food? It is the exact same way with Christians. You get invited to the kingdom. Once you get into the kingdom, you close the door behind you. You act like you are the one who's supposed to assess who must come in and who deserves to be here. You must assess the dress code of whoever comes in here. But you're also invited.
Hi.
Then you almost want to ask the person, so how much did you contribute to the construction of this community? So how many days did you spend in the grave for us to be here? How many hours did you spend on the cross for us to just help me so that I can also, where is this cross that will qualify me to also qualify others for being in here? So you almost want to ask, what was your contribution to the construction of this vineyard? If you have also been invited, stop closing the door. And here's the problem. If you're going to see yourself as the police, as the security guard of the kingdom, of the vineyard, you might end up in conflict with the landowner. You see, their dissatisfaction is not in what they got. Their dissatisfaction is in what others got. The landowner says, you see, your problem is not that I was not generous with you. Your problem is that others got the same as you. You have issue with my grace. That's your biggest problem. You've got an issue with my grace. And that is why, I remember in the book, excuse me, I think it's the book of Acts. It's the book of Acts. one of the Pharisees, while the disciples and the apostles were preaching and the gospel was spreading, and the Pharisees come together. I've always loved that. You know that I've always wanted to have such wisdom as that guy. The Pharisees are coming together and saying, "Hey, these people have a problem. This gospel of Jesus, this Jesus of theirs, is spreading all around. We must curtail this thing. We must bring an end to this thing." And this guy stands up and he says, "Gentlemen, let this thing proceed. If it comes from men, it will fail. But if it comes from God, you might find yourself at war with God. So let it proceed." I wish I had such spiritual maturity. My first instinct, when I see someone that I think is not necessarily dressed in a manner that reflects that of a child of God, my first instinct is to offer advice about how they should dress, how we dress, where I was invited, even though I was not given the dress code of where I was invited. Can I share this with you? Just 2 minutes, Just 2 minutes. Do you remember when Jesus resurrects Lazarus? Do you remember when Jesus resurrects Lazarus? That is such a beautiful, beautiful passage on the construction of a community of faith. You know when Jesus resurrects Lazarus? You know when he resurrects Lazarus? You remember when he gets to the gravesite? He's got 3 instructions. He prays, "Father, I thank you that you have allowed this man to fall asleep so that your name may be glorified." You remember that I said to you the other day. The second one, he says, he's not talking to Lazarus. He's not talking to the dead man. He's not talking to the lost soul. He says to the people who had gathered around the graveyard, "Remove the stone." The stone, the point or the purpose of the church is not to determine how dead the person in the grave is. The purpose of the church is to facilitate a divine encounter between the dead person and the present Christ. So what Christ does is that he does not remove the stones that prevent him from speaking to the dead. He asks the church to remove the stones. Are they hungry? Feed them before you preach to them. Get the stone away from them when you get to house. And this arrogance needs to be exercised of this arrogance of thinking that we can get into a house of people who are starving and all their problems are going to be solved as soon as we say a word of prayer. That has absolutely nothing to do with the situation. Material problems are not going to be caused by spiritual connections, or they're going to be solved by spiritual connections. When you find a material problem, solve the material problem. Then get spiritual. Remove the stone. Does she have a problematic child? Develop a mentorship program for the child. Don't just say we'll pray for them. God has not sent you to the lost so that you can get to the lost and then send him to the lost. Mama, what's the problem? I have a serious challenge. I can't come to church. I've got children. I don't have a babysitter. Bring them. We're going to watch them for you. We've got a children's program. Even if we don't, we start a children's program just so that you can come. We are removing stones. The command to remove the stone cannot be the responsibility of the dead man. You can't expect him to facilitate his own divine encounter. That is why the kingdom does not stay in the vineyard. It goes into the marketplace where they are loved. You are the salt of the earth. What does salt do? It does not change the taste of the curry from the table. It gets into the hot pot. Incarnation. It becomes a part of the problem. It burns with the vegetables. Because we can't say meat. It burns. Alright. It is there. You can't see it. And here's the powerful thing about the salt. Here's the powerful thing about salt. You can't see it, but you can feel its effect. You can taste it, but you can never know. You can't say, this is the salt that was in here. You're saying, yeah, salt has been here. But you can't see the salt. You can't point to it, but you can tell. This one has come into contact with salt. I can taste it. The stones are removed. And once the stone has been removed, then Jesus speaks to the dead man. And he says, Lazarus, come forth. I've always said to people, You see, the reason we are the greatest enemies of people's conversion by over-desiring their conversion. We get so desperate for people's conversion that we end up getting in the way of their conversion. So, I remember my grandmother, there was this lady, she was preaching to this lady. She was talking to her, they had Bible studies and they would read together. And then this lady, she went back to this lady. I don't know what you call this incense. Yes, incense. The traditional one. so she goes to, actually they're all traditional. So she goes to the house, of this lady one day. For years, they were studying together. So she goes to the house of this lady and she finds this lady having burnt this incense. And my grandmother said, ow. But I thought we cleared this thing years ago. That, this thing of yours is not, doesn't make sense. And this lady said, I had a dream. My grandmother came and spoke to me, so I wanted to make her feel welcome. My grandmother said she left the house, and when I came back from school, I found her on the couch, angry, livid. She was just burning. So I asked her, hey, Coco. You also don't want to, you're not tread softly because you don't know what she's found in your room or. So you want to tread softly. So I asked her, hey, Coco, why are you so angry? And she says, hey, that woman. And she tells the story. So my sister turned around to her and says, Coco, it's not you. And she just said it flippantly, Says, Coco, you're not the one who converts people, it's God who converts people. And then she walked off. And she was about 15 at the time. She says, it's not you who converts people, it's God who converts people. Stop being angry. And she walks off. And I understand it now. That at times our biggest frustration is that it's because our facilitation of divine encounters takes on an egocentric bend. We want to point to people and say, that one came to Christ because of me. And when they look stubborn and they appear stubborn, you get frustrated and you say, that one is stubborn. They are not being stubborn. It is because you have removed the stone for God to get to them, and then you became the stone. What resurrects Lazarus, by the way, what resurrects Lazarus is not the removal of the stone. It is the voice that comes from God. Let me say this, Christians. Dear Christians, let me say this. Dear Christians, I'd like to say to you, stop manipulating poor people to join your faith communities by giving them food parcels. Acts of charity are not to convince people to join the church. Acts of charity are our responsibility to the poor. We do them even if they never come to church. We don't do them so that they'll come to church. We do them because it is bad for us not to do it. The removal of the stone does not entitle you to the dead person's life. And then Jesus says, at the end of it all, remember, there's only just one word, one instruction to the dead man. Lazarus, come forth. And at the end, he goes back to the community, to the church, and he says, untie him and let him go. Untie him and let him go. He's done with him. He's resurrected him. Then he leaves the responsibility of the church. When the man comes out, Lazarus comes out, he still bears the marks of death. He's still wrapped in clothing. He's still, what do they call him? Embalmed, eh? Yeah, he was embalmed, still smelling of spices so that it doesn't rot quickly. He's still got those bandages around him, those white cloths around him. And God doesn't say to Lazarus, Jesus doesn't say to Lazarus, remove your clothes and join the community. You know when Lazarus wakes up, the word of God is being preached. I mean, not in church even. and here's the thing. When Lazarus died and he resurrected, do you know that there's no time period in his mind between his death? He doesn't know that he's on the third day. He's sleeping, he hears his name called. He just hears a voice calling his name. He doesn't know much. All he knows that there's a voice calling him. I was sleeping. Tries to open his eyes. He can't see because there's a piece of cloth around his face. But he says, there's a voice that called me and it came in this direction. So when he gets up, he can't even see where he's going because it's even dark where he is. He's in a cave and he starts moving in the direction of the voice. He doesn't even know how to walk. He can't even walk properly. He can't walk as he should. He's not walking as a person who's been alive for very long. He's just walking in the direction of the voice. He doesn't know the hymns that are being sung. He doesn't know where the verses about the state of the dead are. He doesn't know what your church conduct code is. He doesn't know what your dress code is. All he knows is that he heard a voice and it came from there. And all he's doing is that he's just following the direction of the word. He's just going, the word that resurrected. So he goes there and he can't see. He's walking. All he's following is in the direction of the word. And when he gets outside, the dead, the people who are alive, instead of helping him, they still marvel and a dead man. And Jesus says, stop that nonsense, untie him. Untie him. Remove the marks of death around him. You know, there are little girls that got children outside of wedlock that are going to come to church. Those don't define who they are. Those are a reflection that they were once dead and are now alive. Remove the marks and let them walk. Don't ridicule their marks of death. Don't chase them out of church because they bear the marks of death. Their marks are not for you to ridicule. Their marks are a testimony of what God can do in a person, in the life of a dead person. So you don't, they'll come here, they'll still have their puza faces, and at times they'll even come smelling of alcohol. They'll come to church smelling of alcohol. They don't know you don't drink. All they know, they heard a voice. It came from that direction. Untie him and be gentle. You don't want to scare him. Be gentle as you untie him. And it's after you're done with him that he says, what was happening? He said, no, you were dead. But Jesus raised you and he left you in our care. So can we just remove this piece of cloth so that you can look like one of us? Okay. A part of us, we can belong. People's weaknesses are not for us to exploit. And we feel righteous about their weaknesses. You know, there are people who never feel righteous unless they are surrounded by unrighteous people. I remember, let me close my Bible. I remember I was listening to this guy, one of these YouTube and Biggie videos that fly around on social media. This guy says, we have, as black people, we've got to be the only people that measure our success according to the failures of our own community. So I'll get out of my community, make money, become rich, and then I'll go back to my community, buy the gents I grew up with, I'll buy them inyama, shisa nyama, I'll buy them alcohol, and I'll be happy with their poverty. Because their poverty makes me look richer than I really am. So it's only when I'm amongst them that I look like I've made it. So my success is based on their failures and their stagnation. So I'll keep them stagnant. Their poverty doesn't challenge me to do more for them. Their poverty makes me feel like I've made it in life. Christians are no different. Christian mentality is not different to that. We only feel righteous as long as we're surrounded by unrighteous people. And that's why the gossip about who we saw going into whose res and in whose room, it flies faster than the verse of the day. It'll get around faster because somehow for us to feel like angels, everyone must be painted like a demon. So if I'm a demon with no horns, I'll feel like a better demon because others have horns. But you're not an angel. We're just less of a demon than they are. In fact, you're the dangerous type because we can't see you. So Jesus says, untie him and let him walk. And here's the problem, and here's what I'm saving you from. Here's what I'm saving you from. Alright? Here's the stone that I'm removing from your life so that Christ can get to you. It is that if you're going to stand as a judge and a qualifier of who must come into the community of God, you're going to end up being the very stone that must be removed. You're going to end up having a problem with God's generosity and God's grace. I don't think I want to hear God asking, Lord, but this kingdom is mine. Don't I have the right to invite whoever I want into my kingdom? Don't I have the right to do what I please with the merits of my son's blood? Don't I have the right to give eternal life to whomever? It's mine. you were just invited. We agreed, you'll get it. It's not my problem that you have not appreciated being in my presence. And so you are bitter. So we're sitting in church, right? We're sitting in church in Durban. And where there's a church, there's a road, right? And you know these taxis, in Durban you've got these people, the December crowds. You know the December crowd. So they'll come through. Their heads are hanging out the taxis, they've got towels and the taxi. And it's driving right past the church, we're in church. And the sound of like this, their December songs. And the taxi's going. And we're in church. And the man of God is preaching, right? He's preaching in the front, and we can't hear him for a few moments. I mean, the taxi is passing, so we can't hear him for a few moments. And then the adults in the church, I love it, you know. And then I will hear some of them say, so So let me translate that. So it says, she said, look, they're going to die. This thing that they're doing is going to lead to their death. They're going to die. They're not even going, you know, I mean, we're in church, in the presence of God, but offended by people who are in a taxi or drinking their lives away. They are offending us. They are there, in a taxi, we're in church, in the presence of God, in the glory, but we are offended by them. And I learned that day that Christians do not enjoy being in the presence of God. They feel it's an obligation to be in the presence of God. You see, if being in the presence of God was a joy, those who are not in the presence of God would not offend us. They would sadden us. We would be sad that they are there. How my God, if only they knew the joy we were experiencing. I go to my room, I go to the kitchen, I find my wife washing dishes, right? And she's washing dishes. So I said to her, can I let me wash the dishes for you? Or let me help her. I said, let me help you. So I'm washing the dishes. I'm a good pastor. I'm making this point that I'm going to pray after this. So I'm washing the dishes, right? And then she goes, I said, I'm helping her. Right? She goes and sits down. Last I checked, she was wiping the dishes. I was washing them. I put them in the other sink. She rinses them, wipes them, and then packs them nice. But sooner or later I discover I'm alone. No! I get angry. Yeah, I get angry, you know. Because I mean, how can this woman, and then my nephew comes. Have you ever said that you're washing dishes? Then he comes with more dishes. And he just throws them in the sink. And I said, I'm not put him in his place, you know. I volunteered. But I was angry. And then they go and sit together with my wife and they chat. And then I chat. And there I am now. And I volunteered. I was angry. I was angry. Because, I mean, it's a duty. So I was watching the dishes. So their non-participation made me angry. So I go out to Woodwards and there are these Swiss rolls. You know those 5 mini Swiss rolls? So I buy them and then I bring them to the house and I say to them, and I said to my wife, my nephew, say, hey, there are these rolls, eh? I bought them, so I have one. So I take one, there are 5 of them, eh? So I say, have one, and so I have one, and so I take one and I eat. And they said, okay, we'll have it. But you know, I want to start something nice. You will not go again. So I go back and I take a second one, right? So there are 3 left, right? And I eat it, and I say to them, so after I finish my second one, I say, hey guys, there's Swiss rolls that side. Which one I eat them? And they say, yeah, no, we'll get to them. And then, so there are 3 left, right? So there's one for each of us. When I have the third one. But can I tell you something? When they did not participate in eating the Swiss rolls, I didn't get angry. But I got angry when they didn't come to wash the dishes. Do you know why? because I didn't enjoy the dishes. But when they refused to participate in something I enjoyed, I was not angry. In fact, I felt sorry for them. And they were missing out on something so delicious. Do you know why we get angry with people who don't come to church? It is because we think church is a duty like washing dishes. And that is why we get angry. We get angry at them because we think they're having more fun than we are. But if worshiping God, being in the vineyard, was like having Swiss rolls. If being in the vineyard was like having Swiss rolls, we would actually make sure that they get this sooner before they run out. So friend, have you been in this thing for too long? Have you been here since the morning? And you feel you're going to make it to heaven? You're going to get to the areas. You're missing the point. The reward is not what Christ is coming with. The reward is where Christ has called you to. That's the reward. It's not enjoying being in the vineyard. It's not about what He's bringing when He returns. It's about what He's doing in your life at the moment. Friend, you think He got you too late when your parents had already made decisions that made your life uncomfortable, and you feel like if God had gotten to them sooner, you'd have made the mistakes you have made in your life. I want to say to you, there's coming a day when God is going to take responsibility for not getting to you on time. He's going to take responsibility. He's going to compensate you for the suffering you had to go through as a result of your ignorance of Him. He's going to compensate you for that. I want to pray with someone who says, I've been in the marketplace for way too long. I'm just tired of being responsible for my own life. I'm worrying about my own life. I'd like to just live freely in the knowledge that there is a God who will not find rest until He is sure that all my needs are taken care of. I just want that kind of God in my life. If that's your prayer, I'm just going to ask you to raise your hand. Pastor, please. Raise your hand.
All right, Pastor, is it? Our kind of loving Father, thank you, dear Lord, for the gift of life. Thank you for the gift of family, both biological and spiritual. Thank you for the gift of salvation, of which we are reminded this evening. Thank you for your man servant, Pastor Blossom, and thank you for this timely message. We are even more thankful, dear Lord, that we are not threatened by our yesterday, that you don't get mesmerized by our past, such that your plans for us get eternally disturbed. Thanks that you have a way of using the very same mistakes to make us better people. Thank you for the privilege of being in the vineyard. And some of us may have been here for too long, that we have missed the joy of being close to you. Still calling. And there's you as well. We don't want to waste this experience. We don't want to waste this week. Sing and go when this week ends, we are closer to you. We are more joyous than we were when it started. That as the new week begins next week, because of this week, we are more impactful, we are more helpful in this world, because we have met you this week. As we are about to go back to our rooms, and where we come from, protect us, be with us until we come back in the morning. We pray the same for us. Thank you, dear, for salvation. And make us uncomfortable, such that we want more and more people to experience what you've graciously and faithfully given to us. We pray and ask all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen.